Hello, everyone, and welcome to Then and Now. This is a show where history meets the headlines and we talk about how modern issues echo historical ones. I'm your host, Denny, and today we're diving into a fascinating crossroads of medieval law and modern royalty. Recently, we watched with rapt attention an emotional interview between the BBC and Prince Harry. The interview came on the heels of the announcement that the prince had lost his court battle for police protection while in the UK. It has been said that the interview should have lasted around 10 minutes, but it went on for 30 minutes, or close to 30 minutes. Clearly, there was a lot that the prince wanted to say. There was a lot he wanted to get off his chest. And since that interview, there has been a lot that has been said by others. We're talking about that interview today, but you know how we do it here on Then and Now. We put things in their historical perspective. So today we're going back, all the way back to 1215, and we're going to look at how a document signed all those centuries ago affected Prince Harry in 2025. Believe it or not, the story of Prince Harry's complicated legal battle with the UK government over his right for police protection isn't just about royalty, celebrity, or family rifts, because the truth is, at the core of all of this is really a family quarrel. But this court battle is about rights. It's about law, and it's about the promise of fairness under the state. And that takes us back to one of the most famous documents in English history. Yes, you guessed it, Magna Carta. So let's unpack how a charter signed in 1215 by a reluctant King John now echoes in the life of a 21st century prince living in Montecito. To understand the legal and symbolic weight behind Prince Harry's claims, we need to start with the Magna Carta itself. So Magna Carta is actually Latin for Great Charter. It was signed under duress in June of 1215 at a place called Runnymede, and while it was most likely about limiting the king's power and satisfying feudal barons, it planted a revolutionary seed. It planted this idea that even the monarch was subject to the law. King John, yes, he's a King John of Robin Hood fame, he was an awful king. He was terrorizing his subjects and he was taxing his barons, but his barons did not want to keep financing him in these wars that he was not winning. He was generally a bad king, so his barons forced him to sign Magna Carta to limit his powers. Now we want to take a look at Clause 39 of the original charter. This is probably the most famous and what I would like us to really pay attention to for today. In essence, it says that no free man shall be seized or imprisoned or stripped of his rights or possessions except by the lawful judgment of his equals or by the law of the land. Bear that in mind. Now, in all truth, again, we need to put things into historical context. The truth is that Magna Carta was annulled by Pope Innocent very quickly after it came into effect. But it did get a revision in 1215 after the death of King John, and it was reissued during the reign of his son Henry. The document has had several revisions over the years and eventually became part of English political and legal landscape. Clearly, the original Magna Carta of 1215 is not in force today. However, 4 clauses of the original document are still in force in some shape or form in England and Wales. Indeed, Magna Carta is a cornerstone of English constitutional thinking. It's the bedrock of habeas corpus, due process, and the principle that state power must be exercised lawfully and fairly. That principle still pulses through modern British law and, by extension, laws of countries whose legal system were founded on British principles. So that means that if you live in a country that was ever governed by Britain, the laws that you have do stem from Magna Carta. So this brings us nicely to Prince Harry and his court battle. His legal team tried to invoke Magna Carta, not explicitly with parchment and quill, but in spirit, as they challenged how the government decided to strip him of publicly funded police protection after he stepped back from his royal duties. So, what exactly was Prince Harry fighting for? We need to remember that in 2020, he and his wife moved to North America from the UK. So the government, specifically this body called RAVIC, which is the Executive Committee for the Protection of Royalty and Public Figures, this body determined that Prince Harry would no longer receive automatic police protection when in the UK. He argued this decision was unfair, that it lacked transparency and didn't follow due process. He's not just saying, I deserve protection because I'm a prince. He's saying the state made a decision that affects my safety and my family's safety, and they made it in a way that may not have been lawful or just. His legal team wants the court to review, or they wanted the court to review that decision-making process. They're not asking for the monarch or the king himself to step in. They're asking the judiciary, an independent branch of government, to hold the executive to account. And that is at its heart exactly what Magna Carta is about. Remember clause 39 that reads, "No free man shall be seized or imprisoned or stripped of his rights or possessions, except by the lawful judgment of his equals or by the law of the land." Now, some may say, and they have said, that Prince Harry is a privileged man seeking more privilege. But what's interesting here is that his case is actually rooted in a principle that applies to everyone: the right to fair treatment under the law. This is not about whether Harry deserves police protection. Reasonable people can disagree, they can agree. It's up to those who are looking at the situation. This is about whether the process by which that protection was withdrawn was lawful, impartial, and transparent. That's what the whole argument is about. The Magna Carta gave birth to the idea that no one is above the law, but it also implies that no one is beneath its protection. It's also worth noting the irony here, because Prince Harry was born into an institution once seen as above the law, and he is now using the centuries-old democratic principle to demand accountability from the state. He's not appealing to royal privilege, he's appealing to the legal principles. If we look at everything in this legal context, this is what he's appealing to, or was appealing to. Of course, in the interview, he did mention after some time when he really went on talking too much that his father could have stepped in, but that wouldn't be following the legal process if the monarch were to step in to change anything. His critics have argued that he's leveraging his status to receive special treatment, that he has left the firm, quote unquote, and should therefore accept the consequences. Now, in this interview with the BBC, Prince Harry said he's being punished for stepping away from royal duties and that his safety and possibly his life are in danger. Those are very strong words by the prince, and there have been strong arguments against what he said, but that's another conversation. This case may seem like another royal soap opera subplot, and it sure does feel like it, but it touches on something far bigger: the relationship between the individual and the state. If Prince Harry had won, it would set a precedent for how security decisions are reviewed, particularly for public figures with specific threats against them. But he lost. Clearly, the court, in their wisdom, believes that the government acted lawfully. This reinforces an essential truth of Magna Carta. No one, not even a prince, can expect the system to bend for them. The legal arguments that were made on behalf of Prince Harry are grounded in one of the oldest and most enduring ideas of English law, that decisions of power must be accountable, that justice must be accessible, that law must apply to all and be used as a shield, not a weapon. The principles of Magna Carta are still invoked today. They are not just in dusty archives and libraries, but are in real-time courtrooms. This proves that its legacy is very much alive. Thank you for joining me on Then and Now. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe and leave us a review. It helps others to find the show. Until next time, I'm Denny, reminding you that history isn't just behind us, it's all around us. Until next time, take good care.